Good evening and welcome everyone to tonight's council meeting. I'm the Mayor, Councillor Thuy Dang. I declare this meeting open at 7 p.m. I would like to welcome the members of public who have joined us in the chamber tonight. Members of the public attending council and the committee meetings are expected to behave respectfully at all times and not permitted to engage with the councillors or council officers during the course of the meeting. This includes directing loud and inappropriate comments towards councillors and officers, or making noise that impact council's ability to conduct its meeting. All persons present tonight have the right to be safe and treated with respect. Council will not tolerate any behavior that threatens the safety of anyone present in the chamber or which disrupt the ability for Council to conduct its business on behalf of the community. You will be asked to leave the meeting if your behavior is inappropriate, disruptive, or rude. All members of the galleries are required to register their attendance at council meetings to support continuous efforts to maintain a safe and secure environment for all participants, whilst allowing council to conduct an orderly meeting. In the unlikely event of an emergency, please follow the direction of the council officers and the emergency procedures on the wall near the door. I would like to note I have given approval for Channel 31 to live stream this meeting. A recording of this meeting will be published on Council's website. Item number 1, opening. So please stand for the acknowledgement of the country. On behalf of Brimbank City Council, I respectfully acknowledge and recognize the Wurundjeri and Burarong people as the traditional custodian of this land and pay respect to their elders past, present, and future. I ask councillors to remain standing for the council commitment. Others may be seated. At the council, we will act in the best interest of Brimbank community and consider the immediate and long-term impacts of our decisions. We will make this decision fairly and without bias. We will uphold all our obligations under the law of Victoria and Council's local law, and will act in accordance with the Model Councillor Code of Conduct. Councillor, please be seated. Item number 3, apology and leave of absence. Councillor Rankarasis is on leave of absence. I have requested a leave of absence from the 17th of April 2025 to the 24th of April 2025. And Councillor Maria Kerr has requested a leave of absence from the 16th of May 2025 to the 27th of May 2025. May I have a mover of a motion to approve these requests? Councillor Chuang.
Sorry, Mayor, I have problem with my voice. Yes, move in the spring.
Thank you, Councillor Chuang. May I have a seconder, please?
I second the motion.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. So I'll put. Councillor Chuang, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Councillor Takot, would you like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. I declare the motion carried. So item number 4, disclosure of conflicts of interest. Are there any declaration of conflict of interest here tonight? No? Item number 5, Designation of item as confidential. May I have a mover of motion to designate items as confidential? Councillor Crook.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the following items on shared screen as confidential.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Ball.
I second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Could you like to speak to the motion? No. Could you like to speak to the motion, Deputy Mayor? So I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Item number 6, confirmation of minutes of previous meeting. May I have a mover of the motion to confirm the minutes of the previous council meeting? Councillor Kerr.
I move the motion as per the shared screen.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Nikolic.
Second, thank you.
Thank you. Could you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Kerr?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Could you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Nikolic?
No, thank you.
I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. So item number 7, condolences. There is one item for condolences this evening. Item 7.1, Kokani Fire Strategy. May I have the mover, please? Councillor Nikolic.
I'd like to move our condolence motion for the Kochani fire tragedy as per the shared screen.
Thank you. May I have a seconder, please? Councillor Tarkos.
I second the condolence motion, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Councillor Nikolic, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish to acknowledge the tragic events in Kochani that have affected many in our local community and abroad. Fire tore through the Pulse nightclub on March 16, where 500 people had gathered for a concert. The event was well over capacity with only one exit. At least 59 lives were lost and more than 100 people suffered horrific injuries. The loss of young lives that were taken too soon and the pain of the community is immeasurable. Brimbank has a significant Macedonian community, one that is vibrant, welcoming and united. I know that during this time of mourning, there are deep wounds in the heart of the community, and particularly during Holy Week, which is a sacred time of reflection. I wish to express my sorrow and pay tribute to those who have lost their lives. I also want to acknowledge the strength of the community in coming together. I know that Taman Restaurant in my ward of Delahaye has led an appeal for donations that will go directly to the grieving families, and I thank them for their generosity and ongoing efforts. We stand in solidarity with the survivors and the grieving community during this difficult time. May the young, innocent souls rest in peace, and I truly hope that the injured have a full recovery. Sending my deepest condolences and prayers to all affected. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nikolic. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just a few words to say that this was a heartbreaking event, and the lives of 61 people, many of them were young individuals, and the families left behind, but also to pay tributes to the people's bravery and the individuals who risked their own lives to go in to help others, including those that returned to the burning building in efforts to save friends and strangers alike. I extend our sincere sympathies and support to all those impacted by this loss. And as Councillor Nikolic said, that there's a lot of people in our community that are grieving and had family in Kochani, and to them, I just want to say to them, I'm truly in sympathy with you, but we're here also to support you as a council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Had anyone like to speak to the motion? Councillor Kerr?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to extend my sincere sympathy to the Macedonian community. Copernicus Ward has a large population of Macedonian families, and I've seen a lot of outpouring of grief online, so I just want to offer my sincere sympathy, and may all the victims rest in eternal peace. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Kerr. Had anyone like to speak? Councillor Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would also like to join my fellow councillors in passing on my condolences to all the families and friends and the whole community, both in Macedonia and abroad, as a result of this tragedy. No one can describe the raw emotions of grief, both individually and as a community. And as we know, we have a significant number of the Macedonian community here in Brimbank. I want to also let them know that we stand with you all, and we are here for you. May the people who lost their lives rest in peace, and wishing a quick recovery to the ones that have been injured. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Has anyone else like to speak to the motion? I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. I declare that motion carried. Item number 8, congratulations. There is one item of congratulation this evening. May I have the mover, please? Madam Deputy Mayor.
I'll move the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Takos.
Madam Mayor, I second the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Certainly, Madam Mayor. I wanted to say a huge thank you for Mr. Mark Stromer's outstanding contributions to Brimbank. His dedication, hard work, and positive vibes made a big difference, and he will be greatly missed. May I also add that during the consultations that we had with the panel over these last few months, Mark always attended these sessions, and he won the hearts of the community. While we are sad to see Mr. Stromer goes, we're also incredibly proud of him and excited for his new opportunities ahead. His new team is truly fortunate to have him. Thank you for everything you have done, Mark. We wish you all the best in your new CEO role at Mornington Peninsula Shire.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Takos, would you like to speak to the motion?
I just want to echo the words of Councillor Borg, but to say that Mark always took hard questions on, and he provided us with the tools and the information that we needed to make sense of things like rates policies and a lot of very complex strategies. We thank him for all the work on the 24-25 budget, which we're going to debate tonight, and exactly the same words as Councillor Borg. He attended those panels, he made a lasting impression, and I had residents who attended say to me he was absolutely exceptional and a really approachable and easygoing person to talk to. So best of luck. We're going to miss you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. Has anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Sorry, I see Councillor Pham hand. Just bear with me, Councillor. Would you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Pham?
Sorry, it was Councillor Bouch.
Sorry, Councillor Bouch. Would you like to speak to the motion?
Yeah, thanks, Madam Mayor. It's the joy of online meetings, isn't it? Just an indulgence, I wanted to take a moment to express my sincere gratitude to former director and now CEO Mark Starmer, who has been at Brimbank for the last, I think, 16 months. Has a wealth of information. He's also been at Wyndham for 2 years, CEO at Douglas Shire for 3, Millenbrook for nearly 2, and also directing in the City of Melbourne for the 5 years, and the list goes on. But Mark isn't just another director. He was a wealth of knowledge, especially experience with me, well informed and an expert in his field. And of course, from all his years' experience, he's accumulated. So, Mark, thanks very much for assisting not just me but other councillors and doing a bit for our municipality as a whole. You are such a valuable resource to many of us, and you will be missed, and truly grateful for your contribution, dedication, and service. And congratulations on your new role.
Yep. Thank you, Councillor Bouch. Has anyone else like to speak to the motion? Right, I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. We move to item number 9, public question time. Mr. Bilave, I understand we have received questions from members of the public.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, we've received a number of questions for tonight's meeting. I'd just like to note before I commence that in accordance with Governance Rule 55.16, questions with long preambles will have not had those preambles read out in certain circumstances to ensure that we maximise public question time. And in accordance with Rule 55.14, like questions may be grouped together and a single answer provided. The first question tonight is from Mr. Bruce Lancashire on behalf of Brimbank Progress Association. His question is, could Council please advise how much was spent on Yallock Park in the last financial year, 23-24, and include a general breakdown of these expenditures? Could Council also provide how much income was generated from all sources in this park?
In 2023-2024, Yallock Park generated $2.13 million in income and incurred $2.55 million in expenses, resulting in the net cost of council of $418 $418 income sources include $2.1 million from the golf course management and $24,487 in external environmental grants and $80 from a lease. Expenditure cover $2.15 million for golf course management and maintenance, and $305,000 and $630 for environmental works, and $91,000 for the building maintenance.
Our next question is from Luke Farrugia, who asks, can the Council consider installing lighting at bridges connecting each side of Adia to improve safety for pedestrians and cyclists?
Lighting on local connector routes and recreational paths, including these along grid lines, will be considered when the cycling and walking strategies is next reviewed.
Our next two questions are in relation to traffic at the new Costco Centre. And the first part is from Luke Farrugia, who asked, traffic banks up and blocks the Ballarat Road off-right ramp, blocking access out to Chatsworth Avenue, not allowing residents to access the northern section of Ardea. What has Council done to address this in the planning stages, and what is Council going to do to ensure carnage of the weekend traffic? And the second part of the question is from Graham Bloor, who asked, what steps is Council taking to urgently escalate the issues of severe traffic congestion on and around Costco in Ardea before there is a serious accident or worse?
So in November 2022, a planning permit was issued under delegation of the development of 740 Ballarat Road, Ardea, at a restricted retail premises and service station. At Ballarat Road is managed by the Department of Transport and Planning. The proposal was referred and approved by the Department of Transport and Planning, subject to road upgrades, including a new signature intersection, which were completed before opening. The Brimbank planning scheme required 409 parking spaces. However, 743 have been provided, significantly exceeding the requirement. Following the opening, traffic and parking issues were observed in the area. Council officers raised the matter with Department of Transport and Planning Movements and Safety Team and Victoria Police Highway Patrol. Victoria Police had been actively enforcing road rules, while Council had increased local law patrols, issuing infringements to address illegal parking and promote safer, more appropriate parking behavior. Officer will continue to monitor the area and liaise with Costco and with the Department of Transport and Planning and Victoria Police as needed.
The next two questions are from Twani Bonici in relation to the Vietnamese Museum. The first question is, in a council meeting held last year, the council committed to providing additional off-street parking spaces for those affected by the ongoing construction of the Vietnamese Museum. Could you please clarify the location of these new parking spaces? The second part of the question is, the draft Durham Road car park management plan concluded that the expected impact of the museum operations could be accommodated by existing on-street parking. However, many individuals, including elderly residents, are reportedly having to park at the Sunshine Station car park and walk to medical clinics. Can you explain this discrepancy?
The 5 additional car spaces on Sun's Crescent are expected to create by June this year. Parking restriction will be considered in 2 phases, during construction and once the museum is operating. The car park closure is recent, less than a month, and it's important to allow time for residents, traders, and visitors to adapt before any significant changes are made. Officer will continue to monitor feedback and review restriction if needed.
The next two questions are from Neil Huntington in relation to the Brimbank Traffic School. Can it be explained why the Brimbank Traffic School has now reduced convenience and tripled in price for community children's learning to ride programs? Can Council convey these concerns with Brimbank Traffic School to reduce the educational session costs and provide a vast range of bicycles?
Brimbank Traffic School operates on a financially sustainable model, offering bi-education program at varied price points to support ongoing service delivery. Programs range from $10 open ride sessions to private parties, coaching, school holiday activity, and NDIS booking, ensuring broad access while maintaining long-term viability. Council officer will continue to meet and support the Brimbank Traffic School in meeting the broader need of the diverse Brimbank community and obligation under their agreement for use of the site.
The next two questions are also in relation to the Vietnamese Museum. Jenny Isa has asked, how much did Council sell the public car park to the Vietnamese Museum Association, or was it a free gift of public land? Whilst Josephine Dorgan has asked, please provide the financial details of the commercial agreement between the Council and the Vietnamese Museum. Was the land sold to the museum, and if so, for how much, or was it under a lease agreement?
In March 2024, Council resolved to sell part of the Durham Road car park to the Vietnamese Museum Australia at market value. Details are available in the 19 March Council agenda online.
Jenny Isa has also asked, what was the conversation that Thuy Dang had with Natalie Suleiman regarding River Valley Estate?
I was invited to meet with owner Natalie Suleiman MP and some residents of State 4 of the River Valley Estate to discuss the maintenance of the Crown land adjacent to the Maribyrnong River.
The next two questions are from Daryl Dorgan. Daryl asks, the draft annual action plan and budget for 2025-2026 includes $15.8 million to leisure services, which includes bulk. Could you please provide details of how much of this amount will be spent on bulk and what it will be spent on? The second part of his question is, were all the faults at the bulk rectified by the builder before the end of the maintenance period? in particular the rusting bolts on the water slides?
The $15.8 million identified for leisure services is the expenditure of Sunshine Leisure Centre and Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Centre. These costs include staffing, materials, equipment, training, utilities, and program development and delivery. Both at the regional site leisure center has draft allocation of $10.441 million of this expenditure. Although the tax liability period at both has concluded, Council is still working with the builder to resolve all issues identified prior to completion of the defect liability period. Council officers are aware of the rusting bolts and taking action to have them addressed.
Our next question is from Diane Campelli, who has asked, what federal funding has been allocated to Brimbank Council by the federal government over the last 3 years?
The federal project funding commitment include $500,000 for the community battery, $500,000 for the feasibility at Sunshine Energy Park, $1.5 million for Brimbank Aquatic and Wellness Center, $5.66 million for roads from 2019 to 2024. Council also received financial assistance grants and other recurrent operational funding.
Graham Ball has asked, in Carnley, recent residents have been gravely concerned about potential dust from asbestos removal blowing into homes from inadequate dust suppression by Development Victoria contractors undertaking remediation. Why then has there been zero support or public statements of concerns for residents regarding this highly concerning issue from the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and the local ward councillors?
Council does not hold a statutory role in the remediation of this site or overseeing contractor undertaking remediation work. Their inquiry has been received by Council. Council officers have responded and directed all inquiries to Development Victoria and or the EPA and request better communication with the local community.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. That's all the questions for tonight. As always, the full questions and answers will be presented in the minutes. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Believer. We move to item number 10, petition. There are 2 petitions to be received this evening. I know that the tabling of petitions is procedural and as such, there is no debate. So we have item number 10.1, order and file issue at 51 Northview Drive, Sunshine West, and item number 10.2, removal of parking spaces on East Esplanade, St. Albans. May I have a mover for the petition, please? Councillor Tarkos?
I move motion that the petition is received by council.
Thank you. Councillor Tarkos. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Pham?
I second the petition. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Pham. There are no debate for this one, so I'll put the motion to vote. May I, all in favour, please raise your hand. Thank you. The motion is carried. Item number 11, minutes reports of delegated committee. There are no minutes of delegated committee. So may I have the mover for 10.2? Councillor Kerr?
I move the petition as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Councillor Kerr. Councillor Kerr, Crook for the seconder.
I second the motion as per the shared screen of the petition. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. So may I put the motion to the vote? All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare motion 10.2 carried. I move to item number 11. minutes, reports of delegated committee. So there are no minutes of delegated committee. Item number 12, the officer reports. There are 12 officer reports for consideration by Council tonight. If you have your own motion this evening, you must draft the motions and provide to the governor team via email so that they may be shared on screen and form part of the meeting. Otherwise, we may have to defer the matter until the motion had been written, allowing meeting to proceed uninterrupted. Report number 12.1, draft financial plan to 2025 to 2023, 10 to 2035, the draft annual action plan and budget 2025, 2026, and the draft revenue and rating plan 2025 and 2029. I invite Director Georgie to present the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The draft financial plan for 2025 to 2035, along with the annual action plan and budget for 25 to 26, and the draft revenue and rating plan for 25 to 29, is presented for Council's consideration and endorsement for community consultation. Together, these documents outline our approach for the year ahead and long-term resource planning, ensuring we meet our obligations under the Local Government Act 2020. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Hill. Councillor, do you have any question to the Director? No. Before I put it to the vote, and I'll get to the mover, I would like to share my speech on this. Good evening, Councillor and member of the community. Tonight, I'm pleased to introduce Brimbank Council Draft Financial Plan 2025 to 2035, Annual Action Plan and Budget for 25-26, and the Revenue and Rating Plan 25 to 2029. In the year ahead, you will see Council deliver essential services and infrastructure while balancing financial sustainability to ensure Brimbank remains a thriving, inclusive, and future-focused community. The annual action plan and budget will see an investment of $273.2 million for operations, funding 76 different services that span from maternal and child health, arts and culture, statutory planning, and parks and public spaces. We will also invest in initiatives that keep Brimbank clean and beautiful, such as addressing illegal rubbish dumping and forming a rapid response team to our parks and gardens. Council also proposes to invest $56.7 million for capital works to improve roads, community facilities, early learning centers, playgrounds, and parks. Our annual action plan and budget responds to what we have heard and understand to be most important to the community. The 69 action outlined will help realize our community's long-term vision and deliver our municipal health and well-being plan, improving livability, social equity, and sustainability. My fellow councillors and I invite community to contribute your ideas and have your say on these draft documents through the council your say website. We are interested in understanding what's most important to you for your local community. By working together, we can make Brimbank a better place to live, work, and play. We want everyone to feel proud to be Brimbank and to be part of shaping the future of our city. Thank you. And I'll put the motion. Sorry. May I have the mover for the motion, please? Councillor Tarkos?
I move the motion as per shared screen, Madam Mayor.
I'll invite Councillor Kerr for the seconder.
I second the motion as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Tarkot, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor, and thank you for going through those three very comprehensive plans. I endorse these plans and look forward to them going out to the consultation to our community for further feedback. As you said, people can do that online, but we also will be having pop-ups across Brimbank where they can drop by and have discussions with us. These plans are in draft form and are integral to our council's operation to help guide our future strategies and actions and ensure that council continues to operate in a sustainable manner in the short, medium and long term. Our community vision that sits on top of these plans prioritises people, place and prosperity. We face huge challenges through rate capping, cost shifting, rising costs, high service demands with increased population growth, and environmental challenges. Our environment's getting hotter. This is putting pressure on our infrastructure and also on our community. Increased costs for waste management, the levies for landfills are going up, so that's passed on to us as well as a council. These plans aim to create financial sustainability with a focus on value for money and the best community outcomes. I commend all of these, the three plans, but I also look forward to their feedback from the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkot. Councillor Kirk, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Firstly, I'd like to acknowledge the sheer amount of work and detail that these reports and plans go into. I understand that we are living in very challenging financial times with rate capping that is imposed by the state government and pressures on council to deliver services that are outside our jurisdiction. I call on the state government to support the residents of Brimbank and to take back some of these costs. Brimbank residents are some of the most disadvantaged in Victoria. We need more funding towards infrastructure and services. We need to relinquish the financial burden on our residents. I'm a strong believer that council should be focusing on local services and prioritising council basic functions as a priority above and beyond anything else. I feel that in the future, if we focus on delivering services within council's jurisdiction and the state government takes ownership and prioritises funding for the most disadvantaged, then Brimbank in the future could be in a much more favourable financial position. We've seen many funding commitments from the federal government and coalition during this election period, and this is a direct result of the West no longer being safe. With the approaching state election next year, I'm hopeful that both parties will be making significant announcements and contributions to Brimbank, and I'll be continuing to advocate for my community for better roads, better waste collection, fixing the footpaths, maintaining the parks, and really getting the basics right before we spend money on non-urgent projects. I think we have done our best with what we have, and with more funding commitments, we could be doing so much better at shifting the burden from our residents to the state. We want our fair share, so please have your say.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Could anyone else like to speak to the motion? Madam Deputy Mayor?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I just want to say that it is great to see these draft documents coming to Council for endorsement to go for community consultation. As councillors, we have been working with council officers for these last 4 months or so, attending full-day planning, workshops, a number of workshops and briefings, making sure that the community's priorities are taken into consideration and delivered within the constraints of the various challenges that we are facing. Important to note also the community's consultation report and its highly valuable contribution to the development of the draft annual action plan and budget year 1. It's also worth noting that the analysis of the financial indicators used by VAGO indicates among other things, that our loan indebtedness ratio is in the low risk category over the period of the 10-year financial plan. Looking forward to the community's feedback during the consultation.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Pham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to echo what my fellow councillor have said, but I also hope that community understand that it's very important that they participate in having their say in our draft plan as well, because without hearing from you in the early stage so we can plan, you might miss out on what you really want to see happening. So I encourage community to participate in those consultation days and provide your value feedback to prioritize our services for you and to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pham. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare motion carried. Move to item number 12.2, Council respond to illegal dumping. I invite Director Lever to do the presentation, to present your report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Managing dumped rubbish is a clear priority for Brimbank Council and for the community. And Council's approach to this involves activities across a number of service areas focused on prevention, enforcement and collection as a last resort. Council allocates significant resources to offer services like hard waste collections, drop-off days and other waste and recycling services. We educate and engage the community about waste and recycling. We undertake compliance and enforcement activities via officers that investigate and prosecute. We undertake communications to promote what we do and how residents can assist. We advocate to others to do their bit, such as state government agencies and private landowners. And if all else fails, we collect the dumped rubbish. Whilst Council already invests significantly in managing dumped rubbish, we know it remains an issue in the community, and this report proposes additional actions to go towards addressing that issue. I won't go into the details of the report other than to say that the action plan that is attached as attachment 1 provides a summary of the additional proposed actions, and subject to Council's support, this would lead to an increase of over 50% in terms of direct investment to address the issue. This funding is captured in the draft 25-26 budget that Council's just endorsed for consultation, and I commend the report to you.
Thank you, Director Lever. Councillor, have you had any question to the Director? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Crook?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The topic of, sorry, I'll move the motion as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Crook. Can I have the seconder, please? Councillor Marie Kerr?
I second the motion as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Crook, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I jumped the gun there, but thank you, Madam Mayor. The topic of illegally dumped rubbish boils my blood and makes me mad. And we here residents, I know they're mad as hell about this too. So much so that I love nothing more than to get up here today, channeling the emotions of residents and business owners, and start swearing and slamming the table passionately about this issue. Unfortunately, governance rules and the Council Model Code of Conduct prevent me from doing this. So instead, I'll need to make an impassioned and controlled speech about this report. Before diving into the detail, I want to take a moment to applaud the Mayor and my fellow councillors. Every single one of us has raised this issue in briefings, in council planning sessions, on the ground with residents. We've all worn the brunt of this issue from our communities, and we've all pushed for stronger action. This report is not just an officer-led response. It's a culmination of all of our inputs, and I'm proud to stand with councillors who see eye to eye on the urgency of tackling illegally dumping head on. Let's talk straight. Brimbank has a dumping problem, and it's out of control. Over 9,000 dumped rubbish incidents are logged a year. Council spends over $1 million annually responding to this, just to pick up after other people who can't be bothered doing the right thing. That's $1 million that could have gone towards local services, roads, parks, libraries, child health services. Instead, it goes to picking up mattresses dumped on nature strips and builders' waste chucked in our reserves. This isn't just about mess, it's about environmental damage, public safety, and frankly, community morale. Our parks, streets, and open spaces aren't dumping grounds. They're where kids play, where families walk their dogs, and where we come together as a community. The truth is, residents are angry and fed up, and they're right to be. People are sick of calling it in, waiting weeks for action, only to see it happen again the next night. They're sick of seeing the same spots hit again and again like a bad case of deja vu. They're sick of knowing who's doing it and feeling powerless to stop it. That's why this new plan matters. It's not just more of the same, it's a full-scale crackdown. We're talking about tougher fines, up to $1,800 for individuals and over $9,000 for businesses, more CCTV and surveillance at dumping hotspots, targeted education in retail and in rental and high dump zones, a push for people to use the council's reported tool instead of third-party apps to slow us down, and real-world deterrence, signage, clean-up blitzes, and weekend collection crews. And yes, we're finally addressing the misinformation on the ground. Let me say this clearly. Putting rubbish on your nature strip without booking a hard waste collection is illegal. It's not council's job to magically make it disappear because someone else is moving house and couldn't be bothered calling it in. We're also turning up the heat on real estate agents who tell tenants to leave their junk on the curb. And when it comes down to dumped rubbish on non-council land, such as Vic Roads, Vic Track, the lot, we're not going to be silent. This plan includes stepped-up advocacy to state authorities. If it's their land, they need to step up and clean it. We won't accept being the default janitor for everyone else's responsibilities. So, while I love to storm through the streets of Brimbank, yelling off with their heads to every serial dumper up there, I can't. And as such, within these chambers tonight, I'm here to say I move this report and I move it strongly. Let's clean up Brimbank properly, permanently and proudly. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. Councillor Maria Kerr, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you. And thanks, Councillor Crook. That was quite a speech. There is no doubt there's been a significant increase in illegal rubbish dumping in Brimbank. This has been a recurring theme that myself and all our fellow councillors have advocated for. We're advocating for tougher enforcement and enhanced community education. It's great to see that hotspots have been identified and CCTV cameras are being installed. It's also important to note that council is not liable for private land or state-owned roads. Sorry, my computer's just state-owned roads. Therefore, this problem needs to be tackled by private organisations and the state government. Also, it should not be ratepayers who bear these costs. I believe the proposed additional actions like hotspot engagement and targeted pilot program is a great surveillance and security response to high-frequency residential dumping sites. This is putting rubbish dumpers on notice. We are definitely going to catch you, and I'm also an advocate and fully support much tougher penalties and prosecution for people who are proven to be dumping rubbish in Brimbank. Also, I note that there is a lot of confusion out there in the community with hard waste collection, and then the fact that the community need to arrange this as required. I do think we need to get better at communicating with the community in different languages and in different forms of contact with online campaigns, letter drops, and us as councillors. We should also bear that responsibility to spread the word. I also welcome the community to provide me and other councillors with recommendations and honest feedback on their experiences with this process. I'm very pleased that our advocacy, along with the advocacy of all councillors, mayor and deputy mayor, has really been considered, and I feel that this strategy does address our concerns. But of course, this is a work in progress. So I really feel that once this is adopted, we need to revisit this regularly to make sure that our strategies are working. And again, if the illegal dumping does continue, I believe that the penalties need to be much larger and we need to prosecute the offenders accordingly. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Targos?
Thank you. I'd like to echo what was said, but I want to go over something different also that needs highlighting, and that is community engagement and education. Our community, as was said, wants to feel proud of where we live. And we know that rubbish dumping also attracts more rubbish, and it also attracts vandalism and creates an overall feeling of people not feeling safe. I want to highlight some of the good things that are happening in the community as well, because whilst we've got these additional actions which are really good, and we need a little bit more definition around the annual waste collection as well in regards to languages and people being able to book it, because a lot of migrants can't just pick up a phone and book a hard rubbish collection. I want to highlight the positivity that's going out in the community. I want to mention Julian Reynolds, who is a continuous, renegade rubbish collector that is setting such a great example on how one person can make such a big difference. I also want to mention the Clean Up Australia Days, where people got together in small little groups and focused on a little pocket where they took ownership. And within 2 hours, and I know a fellow councillor came along, we managed to collect 30 bags of rubbish. So that was just 2 hours of our time, really well spent, but also connected with other people. There's also a group that I know of that walks their dogs and collects rubbish. Now, they do this 5:30 every morning at Green Gully Reserve. They get together and they walk their dogs and they pick rubbish all along the road and at all the parks and the soccer clubs there as well. And the vibe amongst these people is that we want to feel proud of where we walk, and we don't want our dogs walking on glass, and that's what prompted them to do it. And they even pick up all the dog poo as well. And so there is a feeling of community there that they want to get together, and I'm really grateful also to the council for providing them with the pickup sticks and the rubbish bags and the gloves as well. That plays a really big role because it gives the community a sense of support from council as well. So I want to focus on what we as a community can support, groups like that and individuals that set a good example as well, and award them in some way or really speak up highly of them. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. And Madam Deputy Mayor.
Just briefly, Madam Mayor, I want to reiterate what has already been said by my fellow councillors. The Brimbank community had enough of illegal dumping of rubbish. While most members of the community do the right thing, others dispose of rubbish in an illegal way. Dumped rubbish, as we heard, around the municipality is quite an impost on council. It not only costs money to clean it up, it also harms the environment and local amenity. The statistics of dumped rubbish included in this report are quite alarming. They indicate quite a significant increase over a year. We can't continue business as usual with regards to this matter. Enough is enough. The proposed additional actions in conjunction with the ones that are already in place in this report are highly welcomed. They reflect very much what the community has been asking for. And I also want to take the opportunity of what the community is doing out there. We recently had Australia Cleaning Day, and we have seen so many members of the community doing out there and cleaning up. So we really thank them. And of course, Julian Reynolds is quite an exceptional guy who's doing such a wonderful job. So thank you everyone for all of you who are doing the right thing. And for those who are not, please make sure that you do the right thing. Otherwise, there are heavy penalties in store. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Could anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Nikolik.
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just to add that I believe that Council's response to the illegal dumping is comprehensive, targeted, and quite an assertive action plan that we've all actually had a say on. The approach balances the three key pillars of prevention through community education and engagement, but also it has elements of enforcement and collection. And we've seen a significant increase in the legal dumping in the past 12 months. It's hard to ignore, it's unsightly, it's hazardous. Like Councillor Cook said before, $1 million spent annually by council is just outrageous. So I'm really glad that we've got key action items that have been mentioned, and I'd just like to add some more that I'm really happy to see, like ongoing waste drop-off days and having specific sites for battery and soft plastic recycling stations. And we've seen how effective this can be. We just recently had a reusable goods drop-off day in Delahaye. That was a great success. Some residents returned more than once, and a lot of the items went to supporting the local charity Helping Hands. And this plan also goes one step further to support the development of a local circular economy by introducing initiatives to reduce problematic waste such as tyres, textiles, soft plastics, and also to increase council's procurement of recycled products, which I think is really important. But importantly, this plan also strengthens council's communication and investigations to raise awareness about the serious fines and infringements for legal dumping, something many people don't realise the full extent of. We have a real opportunity here to build a stronger education and awareness program, but also to implement proactive enforcement that helps residents take back pride in our shared spaces by deterring bad behaviour. I'm really confident that by implementing this plan, we'll reinforce that our community values clean, safe public spaces, and where those who do the wrong thing feel the weight of accountability, and where doing the right thing becomes the norm. During my campaign and since being elected, I've consistently advocated for tackling this issue head on. I've always said that education is key, but enforcement matters too, with tools like CCTV in known hotspots and through investigation of complaints. And I've actually been called radical for that and for speaking up on this issue. And if wanting clean, safer streets and expecting accountability about taking pride in where we live is radical, then I'll happily take that label, because it's time we said enough to those who disrespect our community. Our local environment should reflect the pride of our people, and I very much look forward to these actions being rolled out over the coming months.
Thank you, Councillor Nikolic. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I'll put the motion to the vote. I can see Councillor Bouch, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Thank you. And as everyone can see quite clearly, all councillors are very passionate about this issue. And it's not just limited to a Brimbank council issue, it's a lot of other municipalities in Victoria. I just wanted to point out too, like, council is trying, and a lot of people, like a lot of constituents, come to me and say, "Oh, look, there's a problem in council. There's hardly anything, regarding it." But what we do, and even the stats, the enforcement stats for the year of 2024 was nearly 200 infringements, equating to about $300,000 in infringement. So we are out there, and look. To be honest, a lot of us are pissed off. It is a major issue, and not just environmentally but financially for our municipality as well. So look, let's hope that the punishment has increased. So hopefully that's a deterrent for future people who do it. But originally it was the maximum on the spot fines for council that council could impose for individuals of $361 as stated, and now it's $1,800. And if they go to court, it could increase to $40,000. That's for individuals. So and now for even businesses was $9,000, and if taken to court, it can blow up to $218,000. So there are substantial, punishments for it. But look, we hope for the best, and hopefully, like I said, we educate our community. And if that doesn't work, then I think we're going to look at more harsher punishments. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Bouch. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Item number 12.3. The planning activity update and delegate decisions and planning scheme amendments update, March 2025. I invite Director Wash to present their report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to provide Council information on the status of planning permit applications and trends in planning approvals in Brimbank. to also provide line of sight to decisions made under delegated authority during March of this year regarding planning, permit applications and other matters, and also to provide you with a status of current planning scheme amendments as at the 31st of March this year. Our officers recommend that Council notes the activity report, including the attachments, and notes the planning scheme amendment summary, which is also an attachment. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Wash. Councillor, had anyone like to ask the question to Director? Right. May I have the mover, please? Madam Deputy Mayor?
I'll move the motion as per shared screen.
May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Tarkos?
I second the report as the shared screen.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare motion carried. I move to item number 12.4, Planning Compliances Activity Update, January to March 2025. I invite Director Wash to present their report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. As you mentioned, the purpose of this report is to provide Council information on the planning compliance activity for the period you mentioned, to the first quarter of this year, and officers recommend that Council notes the report for that period. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wash. Councillors, had anyone have the question to Director Wash? No? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Maria Kerr?
I move the motion as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Tarkos?
I move the motion as per shared screen. Thank you.
Second.
Second, sorry.
Yeah. Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare motion carried. I move to item number 12.5, the planning application P537/2024 for 110 Melbourne Road, Keilor. I invite Kevin, Director Wash, to present the report.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider planning application P537 from 2024 for buildings and works for the construction of a telecommunication facility in the form of a monopole located at 110 Melbourne Road in Keilor. And this assessment is against the provisions of the Brimbank planning scheme that's provided in the report. Officers recommend the Council issues a notice of decision to grant the permit for the buildings and works located at 110 Melbourne Road, subject to a range of conditions that are detailed in attachment 6 to this report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Wash. Councillor, does anyone like to ask the question to Director Wash? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Tarkos?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an alternate motion, if I can share it on the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Pham?
I second the motion, alternate motion at per share screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pham. Deputy Mayor?
Madam Mayor, I would like to foreshadow a motion in case this one lapses.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Tarkos, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. As per shared screen, I'd like to state that this site is located within the Green Wedge zone of the Sunbury Green Wedge, which is currently leased out for agricultural purposes. As the Director said, this proposal is for the construction of a telecommunications facility by Indara in the form of a monopole measuring 28.41 metres tall. Whilst I'm cognizant of the need to provide telecommunications coverage provision by Optus, I also have to balance this with the concerns of our community members, some who are still agricultural producers and have expressed their concerns at the planning forum organised a week ago by this council. Madam Mayor, if I can summarise the objections. The objections were the suitability of a tower in the green wedge zone, the visibility and visual dominance of the infrastructure, the destruction of the farm agricultural aesthetic, Keilor country town character was raised, radiation, electromagnetic field emissions, impacting health and crops, environmental concerns for flora and fauna, and the devaluation of land and property value, flight path concerns and possibilities of co-location of such towers. For the purpose of my alternate motion, EMFs are electronic and magnetic fields. On page 307 of this council papers, it states a very important paragraph, quote, telecommunication towers are an uncommon occurrence within Brimbank Green Wedge Zone, and ending with, quote, the state government has encouraged a streamlined approval process for telecommunication towers in recognition of the net societal benefits to the wider community in providing such a structure, whilst balancing this with visual impacts and the need to maintain sustainable agricultural practices that are currently operational on the site, unquote. My alternate motion is not focused on aesthetics, nor even the preservation of the country town character, because even country towns need telecommunication towers for better connectivity. In fact, in this area, there are 3 of these located, 2 visible from the location, from the Market Gardens location in Keilor. My concerns focus on the impact on environment and crop production. And the proposal of the plants and the vegetation around the tower does not in any way mitigate the concerns with what the role of electromagnetic emissions play on bees and the pollination process. Some studies show that emissions actually disorientate bees, causing them to become confused, lost, and unable to return to their hives and die. A study listed in the Australian Radiation Protection and Nuclear Safety Agency in 2023 titled Electromagnetic Fields Disrupt the Pollination Service of Honeybees, published in Science Advances. The study examined bee exposure to low-frequency ELFs and EMFs. The study observed that bee visitation to flowers around active and inactive transmission towers. It showed that EMF exposure exerted strong physiological stress on honeybees, as shown by the enhanced expression of heat shock to proteins and genes. The study showed conclusive evidence of detrimental impacts of EMFs on honeybees' pollination behaviour, leading to negative effects on plants and on the plant community. Madam Mayor, we all know globally that the bee population is in decline. With some facing extinction, there are currently 25% lower species. This is truly and gravely concerning to everyone. How important are bees to farming? Bees are the key pollinators in agriculture. That's disappearance or even the drop in bee populations would severely impact the availability of certain produce. The reduction of flower visits due to altered flower abundance around these towers due to EMF emissions could lead to altered foraging behaviour and potential magnetoreception disorders, and that can also upset the delicate biodiversity and ecosystem that exists in the market gardens, which is a strong part and component of the Green Wedge here in Brimbank in Keilor. On this basis, I believe this proposed development fails to protect not only the rural landscape, and it's inconsistent with and incompatible with the Green Wedge objectives and strategies to protect and sustain agricultural land usage, and has, in fact, the potential to have a negative impact on agricultural sustainability and productivity of Keilor Market Gardens.
Councillor Tarkos, you reached 5 minutes.
Thank you, I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Councillor Pham, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I have attended the planning forum and listened to the concern of the objectors and also the applicant. And with the objector, particularly those who are still farming in the green wedges, I heard their concerns and also feel that this particular location is not consistent for such infrastructure. Is it more suitable probably in commercial or industrial zone land? Farming is very challenging at the moment, and if there is a concern of impacts on the bees population being reduced, it will further affect the Greenwich Market Garden in Keilor. I heard the concern expressed by many people ranging from mental health, impact on visual amenity, the valuation of property. However, to echo whatever my colleague just said, which is Councillor Tarkos, we are the important part of farming environment and ecosystem. I do not think this is the right location. Sorry, and I think we must balance all the needs of the community, and I believe there are many other locations for applicants to consider, not the Greenwich in Keilor. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pham. Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to speak in support of this alternative motion. While the detailed assessment indicates there is strategic justification and policy support, as well as compliance with the Brimbank planning scheme, there remains some concerns. The decision guidelines do not include consideration of emissions of any kind from the proposed tower. Also, according to the National Institutes of Health, research shows that the electromagnetic radiation in the form of radio frequency waves from these towers are causing a decline in bee population. This can interfere with the bees' communication, navigation, and reproductive abilities, resulting in miscommunications regarding food source location. This in turn results in colony collapse disorder. This is quite a threat to the environment and the insect-pollinated crops. The proposed tower is in close proximity of the food bowl at Keilor. As such, it is more likely to affect agriculture, more specifically insect-pollinated crops, such as pumpkin, as we have heard from one of the residents who, during the planning forum, whose family has been growing pumpkins for so many generations. And of course, this is quite a concern, as the argument portrayed by Councillor Tarkos. And for that reason, I will be supporting this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Would anyone else like to speak to the alternative motion? Right. I put the motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. Thank you. All against? Please raise your hand. Yeah. Can I ask Councillor Bao whether you support the alternative motion or against?
In favour, Madam Mayor.
Right. So Can I have all against the motion? Put your hand up again. You, Councillor Bouch, you against on the motion?
In favour of the motion, Madam
In the
Mayor.
favor, yeah, sorry. So I declare the
problem.
motion passed, the alternative motion passed. Thank you. I move to item number 12.6, the planning application P461/2024 for the 45 to 47 Barksley Street, Sunshine West. I invite Director Wash to present their report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider an assessment of the planning permit application P461/2024 for the use and development of land for a childcare centre, and the land is located at 45 and 47 Bardsley Street in Sunshine West, and this assessment is against the provisions of the Brimbank planning scheme. Our officers recommend that Council issue a notice of decision to grant a planning permit for the use and development of the land for a childcare centre, subject to a range of conditions that are detailed in attachment 6 to the report. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Wash. Councillors, are there any questions to the Director? May I have the mover, please?
Madam Mayor, I'd like to move an alternate motion, please.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Nguyen?
I'd like to second the alternate motion, please.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor?
Madam Mayor, I would like to foreshadow a motion to go back to the original one if this one lapses.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Crook, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Tonight, I'm moving an alternate motion to refuse planning application P461/2024, which proposes the development and use of a childcare centre at 4547 Barsley Street, Sunshine West. To preface, I want to begin by saying I'm not anti-childcare. I'm a strong believer in the benefits of early childhood education. As a father of 2 young boys living in Sunshine North, I can also attest to the challenges of accessible childcare. In initially receiving this planning document, I was quite excited for the prospect, and although my children don't need childcare placement, as one is now school age and the other one will be entering school next year, I was excited for the prospect regardless, especially more so as data shows a growing proportion of young families moving into Brimbank. I want to acknowledge that Council has received 16 formal objections to this application. In addition, we heard directly from one resident in the planning forum, and since then I've been contacted by several more residents, making it clear that the opposition to this development is growing and deeply felt along Barsley Street. These concerns are not based on vague sentiments. They are grounded in practical lived experiences of what it means to try and navigate, park and raise a family in Barsley Street, an already congested residential street. Going through the planning documents, let's begin with the parking assessment. The on-street parking survey was conducted on a single day during a 1-hour period on Thursday, 8th of August 2024 from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. This is not the peak period for childcare centres, nor is it the peak period for car parking in the street. In fact, in the applicant's own documents, they state that the peak periods expected for the childcare centre are 8 to 9 a.m. and 3 to 4 p.m. The same time as residential traffic peaks with school runs, shift changeovers and general household movement. In this 1-hour, once-off, off-peak parking survey, the traffic engineer noted just 17% of street car park spaces were occupied, with 44 spaces supposedly available along Bartley Street. This data completely misrepresents real-world conditions, as any resident can tell you in Barsley Street or if you visit yourself. The reality is much different, with cars parked across driveways, on nature strips, and residents overflow parking on adjacent streets just to get home. It can be said that the childcare plans to include on-site parking with 22 car park spaces. While this might be the case, the reality is on a narrow street like Barsley, parking and traffic movement should not be considered mutually exclusive. With this type of on-street parking as in Barsley, car movement through a narrow single-lane path as cars occupy the side of the street. Which brings me to my next point. The traffic modelling provided projects approximately 95 vehicle movements during peak hours because of the childcare centre being placed there. Existing flow is around 23 to 44 vehicles per hour, so if so, we're looking at a 2 to 4 times increase in traffic on an already narrow residential road directly adjacent to a primary school. Imagine that for a moment, a queue of 95 cars in peak hours funneling through a narrow street with cars parked on both sides of the street. That doesn't sound sustainable or future-proofing at all. I understand why residents are deeply concerned about this proposal. The traffic impact assessment is based on a narrow lens focusing only on the childcare centre. It isn't holistic in its approach. It excludes multi-level unit dwellings. It doesn't factor in Sunshine Heights Primary School. It omits Oldfield Road and is entirely from its traffic volume analysis. And on data comparisons, it relies on New South Wales data for 2015. Now, I don't need to be a councillor to tell you that New South Wales is not where Brimbank resides. The comparison data is not current, and this is not good enough to inform a major new land use on an already strained street. The reality is car reliance in Brimbank is higher than the Greater Melbourne average, as shown in the 2021 census data. Additionally, no consideration has been given to pedestrian or cyclist safety given the intensified vehicle load, including children attending the proposed childcare centre who may naively view a narrow street such as Barsley as safe and run onto the road. Moving on to waste disposal, the centre will also bring after-hours waste truck operations via a private contractor, a 6.4 metre rear loader reversing on site. Truck path diagrams have been provided, but the car park is tight with turning space conditional on empty car park bays and with a reliance on trained operators, which in my opinion is not a mitigation, it's a gamble. This waste management arrangement adds further to the noise, logistics pressure, and residential disruption of a development that is already pushing the bounds of appropriateness. Acknowledging the acoustic fencing in the documents, some 2.2 and 2.4 metres high, we're still looking at high volume vehicle drop-offs and pickups, outdoor play noise, deliveries, and waste trucks. That's across a 60-hour operating week, 6:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m., Monday to Friday, on a street already home to families, shift workers, and elderly residents. This is not simply a case of coexistence. In my opinion and assessment, this is a case of a domino effect, or death by 1,000 cuts, and I can see why residents are concerned.
Councillor Crook, you have reached 5 minutes.
Thank you. I move the motion on the floor. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to speak to the motion. I would also like to begin by acknowledging the value of early education centres and child-friendly spaces within our community. Coming from an education background myself, I understand such centres are deeply important to growing and developing our neighbourhoods. However, I am deeply concerned about this planning application for the proposed childcare centre at 45 and 47 Bardsley Street, Sunshine West. I've been approached by many residents who echo similar concerns. The suitability of the proposed development on such a narrow residential street is questionable, as Bardsley Street is already heavily congested due to existing educational facilities nearby. During peak school drop-off and pick-up times, Bardsley Street is routinely reduced to a single lane, with vehicles parked on both sides, significantly increasing risk to pedestrian and cyclist safety, particularly for children walking to and from school. Despite the plans for on-site car park, the proposed development will exacerbate the local traffic on Bardsley Street, as the car park space will only allow for one entry and exit, which will cause a bottleneck during peak times. This proposed development does not align with Brimbank's planning policy framework under clause 19.022S, which emphasises the importance of safe bicycle and pedestrian access ways adjoining education facilities. I urge my fellow councillors to consider this application carefully and prioritise traffic mitigation measures that enhances safety for pedestrians and cyclists, thereby supporting the well-being of residents in the broader community. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nguyen. Would anyone else like to speak to support the alternate motion? Speak on against the alternate motion? Right. I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Item number 12.7. Yeah, because the motion like carried, so I didn't ask for the or against the motion. So I move to item number 12.7, plan application P 315/2023 for 65A Imperial Avenue, Sunshine North. I invite Director Wash to present their report.
Thank you again, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is for Council to consider providing consent for the approval of a planning permit application, P315, for the use of the site for the purpose of fertiliser production at 65A Imperial Avenue in North Sunshine. And the reason why it is around consent is because the matter is before VCAT. Officers recommend, which is detailed in the report of course, officers recommend that Council consents to the granting of the planning permit for the use of the land for the fertiliser production, subject to a range of conditions detailed at attachment 7 to the report. If you do consent, advise VCAT, the applicant and all objectors that Council consents to the granting of the permit in accordance with the above. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Wash. Councillor, had anyone got a question to Director Wash? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Crook?
I move the report and plan on shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Kerr?
I second it as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. Councillor Crook, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I acknowledge that we've received a number of objections for this planning document, and subsequently in the planning forum I asked a number of questions of the applicant there, and I was satisfied and actually quite impressed with his answers. They seem to run a no waste business, and I asked him many detailed questions about, you know, I have to preface this to say, you think of fertiliser, you think Bunnings, you think, you know, it stinks, what fertiliser doesn't smell, but in his operations, the fish arrive, you know, in contained units, they go into contained units, nothing heats up, everything stays room temperature, and within 24 hours it's bottled up. When I went on a factory tour, which I'm grateful for the owner to offer that to us, we were standing directly outside the roller door and we could not smell a single thing. And then upon going inside, you could smell the very mild smell. So being that I was in close proximity of the factory, and couldn't smell anything, I don't have any concerns. And that was on the basis of all the objections there. So thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Item number 12.8, the Integrated Water Management Strategy. I invite Director Wash to present their report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The purpose of this report is to seek endorsement from Council of the Brimbank, of the draft Brimbank Integrated Water Management Strategy and the associated action plan, which are both attached, for these to be released for the purpose of community consultation. Officers recommend that Council endorses the strategy and action plan for its release. And also I'd like to advise Council that Council would be presented with the outcomes of community consultation, including a refined strategy reflecting the outcomes of that consultation at a future Council meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Wash. Councillor, had anyone had the question to Director? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Targos?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I move the report as per business papers. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Targos. May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Nikolic?
I second the report. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nikolic. Councillor Tarcott, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Nikolic, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Had anyone like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare motion carried. Item number 12.9, approval of borrowings. I invite Interim Director Brady to present their report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor and councillors. Council's adopted 2024-25 budget included the provision to borrow $14 million to part fund its capital works program. This report simply delegates authority to the Chief Executive Officer to now formally enter into the loan agreements in order that the funds become available to fund the balance of the capital works program for this year. The borrowings are in line with Council's long-term financial plan and also approved by the Treasurer of Victoria under the local government funding framework. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Brady. Councillor, had anyone have the question to the Director? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to move the motion as per the shared screen.
May I have the seconder, please? Madam Deputy Mayor?
I'll second the motion, thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. Madam Deputy Mayor, would you like to speak to the motion?
Just briefly, I just want to mention, as stated in the report, that it's important that Council maintains a healthy level of capital works expenditure to ensure maintenance of existing infrastructure and building of new infrastructure to meet the changing needs of the community. And also, as I stated before in the previous report, that the analysis of the financial indicators used by VAGO indicates, among other things, that our loan indebtedness ratio is in the low risk category over the period of the 10-year financial plan. So I'm happy with this report and I commend it to Council.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Tarkos?
Just a few words. I just wanted to say that if you turn to page between 120 and 126 of the draft Brimbank Annual Action Plan Budget 25-26, there's listed there reams and reams of capital works that this council is committed to deliver. Our community is growing, and from maintaining existing infrastructure to upgrading so that we optimise all of our infrastructure, which is everything from kitchens, toilets, kindergartens, community centres, pathway upgrades, roadworks, rehabilitations and renewals, sports facilities, complete reconstructions of grounds, tennis court resurfacing, irrigation system upgrades, stormwater drainage upgrades. All this work, much of it has already started, so this is just partially funding. We need to complete it. Our community can't wait, and we can't delay some of these projects because costs do go up if we don't finish them on time. So I commend this report. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Item number 12.10, Governance Report April 2025. I invite Director Hill to present their report. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. The monthly governance report is a standing report to Council in accordance with best practice and good governance principles and to ensure compliance with the requirements of the Local Government Act 2020, the Model Code of Conduct and the Councillor Support Policy. In this month's report, Council is asked to consider a summary of recent governance activity, contracts entered into and works orders approved in accordance with the S7 instrument of subdelegation, Councillor declarations of representations by Members of Parliament, adopting the revised Chief Executive Officer Employment and Remuneration Policy, a proposal to increase the works values threshold nominated in Brimbank's Asset Protection Code of Practice, a submission to Infrastructure Victoria in relation to the Infrastructure Victoria Draft 30-Year Infrastructure Strategy, and the Planning for Waterways submission. Additionally, Council is being asked to appoint Bruce Potgieter as an independent member of the Audit and Risk Committee, replacing Mr. Jeff Harry, whose term has concluded. Mr. Harry has served as independent chair of the committee, and Council is now required to appoint another independent member to the role. It is recommended that Council appoint current independent member Jenny Johansson as chairperson. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Director Hill. Councillor, could anyone have the question to the Director? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Nikolic?
I'd like to move the motion and the report as per the shared screen.
Thank you, Councillor Nikolic. Can I have the seconder, please? Councillor Tarkos?
I second the report as per shared screen. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Could you like to speak to the motion, Councillor Nikolic?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. I wish to speak to my Lead West delegates report and in doing so update Council on the progress made to date. We recently welcomed huge wins from our federal government advocacy work, including an announcement of $300 million for the Calder Freeway Diamond Interchange. This is a life-saving and urgently needed project for our community, and Council has led the charge on this campaign since 2021, and it's been high on the Lead West advocacy. As Deputy Chair of the Alliance, I joined a delegation to Victorian Parliament House to advocate for state-based issues. We met with David Edershank, Member for Western Metro, the Honourable Natalie Hutchins, Member for Sydenham, Steve McGee, Member for Melton, Luba Grigorovich, the Member for Koroit, and Moira Deeming, Member for Western Metropolitan. We discussed the Melbourne Airport Rail and the Sunshine Station Master Plan, better buses for Melbourne's West, and housing and homelessness. I also recently joined Raph Epstein on ABC's Melbourne Mornings to discuss Brimbank's strong position on the election promises regarding the Melbourne Airport Rail and Sunshine Station made by Opposition Leader Peter Dutton. And I want to share a summary of our discussion and the advocacy being undertaken in this space through my role in Lead West. That if funding is axed, this will have a knock-on effect for the rest of the Western region. We have a real opportunity to transform Sunshine into a second CBD and the Sunshine Station into a super hub through our precinct master plan. These projects are interdependent and must be delivered entirely to adequately service the 18 million people that will travel on the Melbourne Airport Rail each year and use Sunshine as their interchange. So it's far more than a renovation or an aesthetic upgrade. It's about people having the services they need for housing, to healthcare and to shops. It's their civic infrastructure that's crucially needed to support this growth. This is high on Lead West priority and needed as a first stage in the Melbourne Airport. I liken this to upgrading your car engine but keeping the same worn down brakes on your car. You simply can't have one without the other. So any cuts to the proposed Sunshine Station works will also compromise the future electrification of both the Melton and Wyndham train lines. And we've been advocating for these projects so strongly since I've come on board to the Lead West Alliance. Following this announcement, I had an opportunity to attend a Lead West roundtable with the Opposition Leader for Victoria, Mr. Brad Batten MP, and Moira Deeming MP. I shared Council's position on the Sunshine Master Plan funding, as well as focusing on positioning Lead West advocacy ask prior to the state election in 2026. So we've got a long way to go, and I hope by the next time I deliver my report to Council, we'll have some more wins and that I'll be able to share our state government advocacy. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nikolic. Councillor Tarkot, would you like to speak to the motion?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. Yes, I'd just like to talk about the Brimbank submission to the Infrastructure Victoria Draft 30-Year Infrastructure Strategy Plan that recently went out for public response. In particular, nuance to the to address what we need in the West that has been submitted by this council that will strengthen the draft strategy. Firstly off, the delivery of the airport rail in its full capacity before the operation of the Melbourne airport third runway, which makes perfect sense to everyone. I mean, why have a third runway and introduce millions more passengers when you do not have the capacity to take people to the airport? Development of an integrated transport strategy is key for Melbourne's West. This has been on the top of our priority list for many years, so that's great that's been included. The delivery of a bus service connecting Melbourne Airport to Brimbank. We've all said that we need an orbital bus that will stop at Sunshine, St Albans, Keilor Airport, that is able to take a lot of job seekers that are ready to work at the airport but have got absolutely no transport available to them. Not everyone in the West can afford to run a car. Kids, when they're starting off into an entry-level job, need transport that's efficient. A bus makes a lot of sense, an orbital bus that runs every half an hour to the airport to assist our kids into jobs. Stronger focus on circular economy and greater recognition of cost shifting by the state to councils to deliver more services without the funding to support that. And finally, I'd also like to give a brief report on the first Heritage Advisory Committee meeting for 25. I'd like to thank everyone who attended, the officers and the director for their support in this meeting and the extensive topics we covered in a short breadth of time. The first one being the former Sunshine Tech School Victorian Heritage, and that being registered, which is fantastic news for our community. There was also updates on Robertson's Homestead and Arundel Bridge. There was also updates on the former Sunshine Municipal Office building update and that's been a huge concern to a lot of our community as well, with the vandalism and rubbish dumping, amendment updates, heritage strategy update, and the general business, which included the former Sydenham Station, former HV Mackay, and the Smith building replica. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Tarkos. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? Madam Deputy Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I also want to say a few words regarding Brimbank City Council submission on to Victoria's draft 30-year infrastructure strategy, March 2025. In its submission, Council identified and addressed a number of potential gaps that could strengthen strategy. For many years, the western suburbs have been neglected when it comes to infrastructure. In addition, we have an outdated infrastructure that is not meeting the significant increased population in the West. The demands far outweigh the growing needs of the population. Among other things, this is a matter of equity and justice. People in the West need to have good access to housing, jobs, services, and opportunities. The submission provides a strong and powerful voice to the Victorian government to note the recommendations made by Council to be included in the final strategy. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Pham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I would like to echo what fellow councillor have been said, but also want to address the St. Albans Partnership Group meeting, which I and Councillor Bouch attend on 3rd of March. It was a significant meeting for the ward, as we discussed about the presentation on council homelessness protocol. We received update from the police as well, and also update where also will also provide to work addressing illegal trading on the Feeder Street and focusing on ensuring consistent enforcement and presence to tackle that issue. Is a long ongoing issue, and it needs a lot of partnership work between different stakeholders to actually solve it. So I just want to echo, that meeting is also a significant, important piece for us. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pham. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put motion to the vote. All in favor, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Item number 12.11, Brimbank Annual Community Grants 2026 category. I invite Director Dumble to present their report. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The purpose of this report is to ask Council to consider the proposed Brimbank Annual Community Grants Program 25 to 26 categories. The Brimbank Community Grants Program provides one-off financial assistance to eligible not-for-profit organisations and community groups seeking to deliver projects or events that support and improve the Brimbank community. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Dumble. Councillor, had anyone have the question to the director? May I have the mover, please? Councillor Kerr?
I move the motion as per the shared screen. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Kerr. May I have the seconder? Councillor Crook?
I second the motion and report as per the shared screen. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. Councillor Kerr, would you like to speak to the motion?
No, thank you, Madam Mayor.
Councillor Crook,
No,
would
thank
you
you,
like to
Madam
speak?
Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Crook. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Nikolic?
Thanks, Madam Mayor. Just to touch on the point that I'm so enthused to see the youth opportunities elements in the grants. This is a grant for young people to step into leadership positions. This is a name that they came up with as well to really engage the fellow youth, encourage schools to apply. This can be a forum or a sporting activity. It's really for the youth to lead the outcomes of this grant. I know growing up as a young person in Brimbank, our opportunities were really limited by our postcode. I often didn't feel that the community was proud of us. So seeing this up there on the screen, I think will be huge to allow young people to step into leadership positions and then to convey that to others so they can see that and step into the roles in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nikolic. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Pham?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I think community grant is such an important and significant visually things that community can actually see, touch, and feel rather than thousands of services that we provided to community. It's giving a great support to community group to have the party for funding to meet or great event for connection. And also it's encourage community proud as well because in-store activity and events or leadership roles which they participate in while receiving our community grants bring up so much of Brimbank proud, and I highly love to see all our community grant getting used to the max. And it's proven by a lot of community event that I've been to, and they always say, thanks to Brimbank that provide us with grant that we can actually bring this event or bring this group together. And it's so good to hear that from community. And without, support, I think it's a bit hard for them in their journey as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Pham. Would anyone else like to speak to the motion? Councillor Takos?
I'd just like to say thanks to all the officers that support the grant application process, because not everyone has got the capacity to do a grant application. They're quite complicated. Some people are guns at it, but for newly emerging communities that really need that cohesion and, an opportunity to showcase their culture, it's really important that they have support to get their, their grants off the ground. And I just commend that we support people applying for grants. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takos. So, could anyone else like to speak to the motion? I'll put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Number 12.12, contract number 25/3 3582, construction of sport pavilion, Parson Reserve Sunshine. I invite Director Lever to present their report.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. This report recommends Council awards a contract to Constructive Group to construct a proposed pavilion at JR Parsons Reserve. Constructive Group have been identified via a public tender process as the best value to deliver this project on behalf of Council. This is a significant investment and funded in the adopted 24-25 budget and is also reflected in the draft 25-26 budget and the forward capital works program for completion in 26-27. The project has been designed to deliver an important community asset for Brimbank, and I commend the report to Council.
Thank you, Director Lever. Councillor, are there any questions to the Director? May I have the mover of the motion, please? Councillor Takos?
I move the motion as per our shared screen. Thank you.
May I have the seconder, please? Councillor Nguyen?
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to second the motion as per shared screen.
Thank you, Councillor Nguyen. Councillor Takot, would you like to speak to the motion?
I'd just like to thank Chris Levers for the fantastic report, but also for this much needed and much awaited sports pavilion to be finally constructed. It's going to be a fantastic asset and, you know, much needed for the community. And as we know, sports facilities are not just for sports, but they build community and become community hubs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Takot. Councillor Nguyen, would you like to speak to the motion?
Yes, thank you, Madam Mayor. Just I want to echo my fellow councillor, Councillor Takos, that this pavilion is such a much needed facility in our local community. Not only will it provide accessible toilets, but shelter and female-friendly change rooms, which our community needs. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Nguyen. Had anyone else like to speak to the motion? I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Thank you. Item number 12, notice of motion. There are no notice of the motion. Item number 14, notices of rescission. There are no notice of decision. Item number 15, urgent business. Madam CEO, is there any urgent business?
There is no urgent business. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam CEO. Item number 16, confidential business. There are 2 items of confidential business. May I have the mover of a motion to close the meeting in accordance to section number 66 to 8 of the Local Government Act 2020 to members of the public of the consideration of item number 16.1 and 16.2, which have been designated confidential. May I have the mover, please? Councillor Crook?
I move the motion to close the meeting to deal with the confidential matters. Thank you, Madam Mayor.
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Crook. May I have the seconder, please? Madam Deputy Mayor?
I'd second that, Madam Mayor.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Mayor. I put the motion to the vote. All in favour, please raise your hand. I declare the motion carried. Thank you to everyone who currently viewing the live stream of this meeting. The meeting is now closed to the member of the public at 8:53 and will not reopen to the public at the conclusion of the confidential business. Thank you all for attending and for your interest in tonight's meeting. I instruct Channel 31 to stop live streaming this meeting.